everyone. Welcome to I'm Not a Fan Unless I Have a Podcast. I'm John Hanford. And, this week, I don't know exactly what's going on, but, I'm recording this intro Monday night. And, like I've said before, time and time again recently, we've gotten some new stuff from Giz on Tuesdays. I guess that's Wednesday, Australia time. But I just saw, about 20 minutes ago, King Gizzard posted on their Instagram and Facebook, whatever other socials, Parlor. Uh, they posted that they they just posted a picture of Joey, a really cool painting. Who knows who did it? Maybe it was fan art, but it was just posted, no caption, no nothing, just the picture of Joey and a guitar. Um, the guitar Joey is playing, it either looked like a bass guitar, like he was playing a Fender P bass, or maybe he was playing Cookies Eastwood, microtonal guitar. So don't know what it is. Maybe it's just fan art, and that's cool. But considering the timing of it, I have to imagine we might be getting a Joey track debuted. Um, so you heard it here first, or and maybe it's not true. Maybe it's inaccurate. Maybe we're not getting anything. But it was something that I saw and I liked it, and maybe somebody else thought the same thing. Call in. I don't know. But anyway, there isn't a whole lot new um in the way of housekeeping and stuff. Things are still going well. I've still got the puppies, so we're going to talk a little bit about the dogs, of course. How could we not? So Miracle, Clancy's mom, she found a new home. I found her a new home with the help of a friend. And she went to what I think is seriously the. I mean, this is just paradise for really any human, but really, really any dog. Her new home is with this guy who lives off the grid, about 45 minutes away from Joshua Tree. um, like about 45 minutes away from downtown. And yeah, I mean, the dude lives at the very end of a dirt road. There are boulders everywhere. Like, this dog is going to have so much room just to run around and explore and just climb and shit. I mean, this is such an amazing place. I mean, it's seriously amazing how the universe can just work shit out, how shit works out. When you're taking on a responsibility and you're putting nothing but love and um and you're really your heart into it. That's the thing. Like, not to blow smoke up my own ass too much, but this is what happened. I took her in under, like just out of the goodness of my heart. And I couldn't have imagined it working out better than it did. I took her as a leap of faith, just like, yeah, I wanted to help out my friend who, could sadly couldn't take care of Miracle. And but I knew how much she cared about her, and I wanted to see I wanted to see to it that the dog got the best home possible, so that I could, uphold my promise to my friend, who was originally going to adopt her. So I'm thrilled that it worked out the way it did. It seriously could not be a better match. I mean, it's just, yeah, the whole backyard is just, BLM land. For those of you who aren't familiar with our United States civics, that's the Bureau of Land Management. It's not Black Lives Matter owning land out in the wilderness. But anyway, without further ado, let's get right into the intro for this week's guest. This is a guy, and by the way, this is the 50th episode of this podcast. So holy shit, that's a benchmark. That's a checkpoint accomplishment. I mean, you know, I you guys know how hyper, like, I'm so self-aware, um, or maybe self-conscious, whatever it is. Um, thank you everybody that has listened, continued to listen, and supported me on this podcast and just in general, like by means of like if this podcast is how you discovered me, um, I mean, that's the coolest fucking thing for me to hear or know. I mean, I've met so many cool people doing this podcast, um, and you know, we're gonna keep it going. Um, but yeah, we're at the 50th episode, and this is a guy who I met. I actually met this guy back in, I want to say, January, maybe about a year ago. About a year ago, down in Palm Desert, California, which is, you know, that's usually where I would perform stand-up comedy, and occasionally I'll perform music there. Um, there's a guy who was living there as of a year ago, and you know, I saw him at the bar one night, and he was, you know, just sitting by himself, had his denim jacket on with a rat's nest patch, you know, on his right sleeve, and I was like, huh, all right. So like I was just about to go on stage, and I tapped him on the arm. I was like, hey man, nice patch. And then I went up, did my thing, and then caught him outside after the show was over, and you know, we just talked giz for a while. Then, you know, saw him a few other times. This is a dude who was just a fun fucking guy to find at the place where I performed, and just talk music, and you know, and this is before I podcasted about music, about King Gizzard specifically. Like I was you guys know how much I love talking about King Gizzard, right? This guy was, you know, one of the, you know, one of the early people who who I was able to talk Giz with at length, ad nauseum, with, you know, without having a podcast. Um, so yeah, but he's introduced me to other bands and artists such as Hawkwind, Takashi, yeah, uh, Takeshi Terauchi, who, by the way, Cookie, in the last Gizzy mail, Cookie wrote it and he came up with the playlist. If you didn't see it, go check it out. I think there's a link to it on the Pie Bye fan page on Facebook. And I mean, I'm assuming if you listen to this podcast, you're probably subscribed to the, you know, Queen Lizard Wizard, whatever, you know, whatever the Gizzy mailing list is. I'm assuming you're subscribed. Check out Cookie's playlist because he does have a track from Takeshi Terauchi. Um, unfortunately, he's not available on the US Spotify, but that's, you know, whatever. Maybe it's just because I was on VPN or something. I don't know. But yeah, amazing Japanese surf guitarist. I've talked about him plenty on this podcast, and just bringing him up to other folks. Anyway, without further ado in this intro, we're just gonna get right into this episode. Everybody, please welcome my good friend Grant. Yo, that's
Fantastic.
I love that that the painting you got on the wall with like the rainbows, the
Oh,
parade
thank
of
you.
rainbows or whatever.
It's a vintage fabric tapestry from the mid 70s or whatever that my mother picked up at an estate sale years ago. I had it with me in California, and I was happy to bring it back with me.
Nice.
Thank you.
That's pretty cool. Well, so it's great. It's great to see you again.
Likewise.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks you're no longer in Cali, but
Yeah.
you know, it's what it is. Seems like KC's all right. Um, but yeah, so I've wanted to have you on the podcast for a while, since like you're the first Giz head I met in person, just but not at a Giz show.
Yeah. No, I get
um,
it's like, it's you see how many King Gizzard fans are at shows, and it's just like, wow, there's so many of us. It should be a lot easier to find us in public. Yet when you try to talk about this band to most people, it's just like, I've never heard them before. It's just like, yeah, I didn't expect you to, not to come off as elitist, but at the same time, it's just like, I honestly did not expect you to know them. But every time you do find someone, it's just like, oh my God, thank goodness. But
yeah,
it's just like, every now and then I find the rare odd King Gizzard like bumper sticker on a car, like either the Gator or the Fishies or whatever, just like my guy, this person, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because like I only knew that you were a Giz head because of, you had the rat's nest patch
Mhm.
on your denim jacket, and oh yeah, the one that you're wearing right now, and yeah, so like I see that patch, and then Clancy, come on, I just adopted a puppy, and she's
Yeah, you told me about him.
yeah, we just got back from like a 6 mile hike, and I thought that they were going to be just totally zonked, and yeah, I guess that wasn't enough. Anyway,
I'm guessing the weather was good for it.
what was that?
It was good weather for a hike.
Oh yeah, it's like mid 50s here, and it was sunny, so yeah, it was great. Went up to Pioneer Town,
Nice.
but in any case, yeah, the let me put these dogs out in the other room because
Yeah, go ahead.
this is
You're
gonna be
good.
distracting.
Take your time.
Clancy, come on, go to the living room. Come on. Miracle, you're gonna have to join her. No, you don't want to. All right. Clancy, don't kill her. All right, hopefully that works.
Good, dude.
Anyway, you gotta be shitting me. Come on.
I don't even know what's going on back there with the green screen effect, but it's obviously funny.
We're gonna have to prop up the door here.
I see you fading into existence with your green screen effect. It's funny.
Yeah, my bedroom door doesn't close all the way, so I just had to go get a chair to prop it.
Yeah, I was seeing you fade in and out of existence with your background you got going on. So that's pretty funny. All right, so
yeah, I'll probably edit that out, but who knows? But yeah, in any case, where were we? I was talking about the Giz patch, and so yeah, so you had been in Palm Desert, and like that's where I knew you from.
Mhm.
So now you're in KC. How did you end up back there, or like that is where you're from originally, or?
Kansas City, Kansas, to be exact, because there's Kansas City, Kansas, and Kansas City, Missouri. And unless you're familiar with the area, most often people are going to assume Missouri, despite it being called Kansas City, which is beyond bonkers. But I have to emphasize Kansas, just to be sure. But yeah, I'm originally from the area, Kansas City, and you obviously know, but for whoever is listening, watching in a future time, I moved out to Palm Springs to live with my father, who moved out there for reasons. And I had a nice time in Palm Springs. I met some fun people, interesting people, and spinning my wheels looking for work in the particular field that I got a degree in. And things didn't work out. I was spinning my wheels without making much traction. And then 2020, COVID and everything just got worse and worse with lockdown and just being more draconian. And, at a certain point, I'm just like, you know what, things just aren't working out here as like I intended. I'd hate to say bye to my friends that I made, but, got to go where the grass is greener in this case, and move back to Kansas City, which I left thinking there was not much there left for me. But I moved back, realizing that it had everything that it had to offer for me to begin with, which is, it's funny how life works like that,
Totally. And yeah, I mean, like, also it seems that there are a lot of like a lot of the Midwestern cities now are starting to like come up a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Like I had a friend that just moved to Oklahoma City from LA, just because, like, he's a stand-up comic as well, and he was just like, if I'm not performing, I'm not going to keep spending $1,200 a month on rent. So he moved to Oklahoma City so he can just pay like $350, and apparently they have a really good comedy scene there. So
That's cool. I honestly
yeah,
don't know much about Oklahoma City, to be quite honest, but
I've never been, but it just
if it's got a good comedy scene, hey, that's something. That sounds cool. But yeah, Midwestern cities like Kansas City, for instance, I mean, we're literally smack dab center of the United States geographically.
Yeah.
Here, it takes 3 hours to get to the West Coast, and it takes 3 hours to get to the East Coast. So that's quite convenient. But it's definitely a small, big town, as it were, like a medium-sized town. To get where I'm at within the suburbia to downtown by highway or even by taking residential route, main routes, it's like 20 minutes. You know, like the same distance like in California, it would
Yeah.
be maybe like an hour and a half, for the same distance. So
Well, that's convenient.
yeah. But it's I like Kansas City. I really enjoy the architecture and the local vibes here. Everyone's very friendly.
Yeah.
And,
Barbecue's good.
It's got a lot of cool local uh, bars and local what was it? I'm blanking. It's got a lot of cool venues. That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Kansas City is like an old blues town, It's
Absolutely. Old blues jazz town. You can
Yeah.
still find some of the original 1920s like speakeasy jazz bars, and they're really nice.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, that's sick. Definitely something to check out next time I'm in KC, which it's not out of the realm of possibility. Like I go a lot of places. But yeah, so you mentioned that you were working on pressing back to Gizzard, like you're working on pressing some of the teenage Gizzard. I vaguely saw your post, but you said you were planning on pressing those into 10-inch vinyls.
Yeah. So Teenage Gizzard is basically a collection of King Gizzard's first EP and their early singles that they've ever done, and two of them have never seen the light of day on like a digital storefront, which is pretty nice. But I wanted to give it the same treatment and as a tribute to their original vinyl press, Willoughby's Beach, which was also a 10-inch. It was the only 10-inch they ever did. So I thought
I didn't know that.
yeah. So if any release ever deserved another 10-inch, it would be Teenage Gizzard as a tribute to Willoughby's Beach, which was the original 10-inch. And they only printed like 350 of those. So they're, mega ultra rare. And like I've seen their prices on Discogs and they go up into like easily over the thousands.
Jeez.
I know. That's definitely...
I like what I like about King Gizzard is that they're so accessible, regardless of what tax bracket you're in. But then to know that there are like these mega fans out there who will they're mega fans with their wallets. That is wild to me. I mean, like, people look at me like I'm nuts when I tell them I have a King Gizzard podcast, and I don't blame them. I can only imagine the reaction I would get if I told somebody I shelled out like over. I shelled out four figures.
$1,300 grand, $1,300, for like a 10-inch.
I mean, shit. It's not. I mean, it's just Willoughby's Beach.
But it's got such a dope ass album cover that just pops wherever you put it. And the collection of songs aren't bad at all. They're lo-fi and they're quite very basic and simple compared to their much later work, but they're still really fun to listen to. So it's definitely one that's worth putting on the record player like seldom occasions at the very
end. For sure. I just think like I would rather have the 12-inch reissue because you still get the artwork and it's a little bit bigger. So
absolutely. Yeah, it's it's just easier to find. It's less expensive to play every time you play it, in terms of like depreciating value every time you play a 10-inch like the original. But for those, like diehard Gizheads or those like, music geek collectors, that original Willoughby's Beach is absolutely like a white whale for some people.
Yeah.
And it's fine, but I don't have any kind of cash like that to shell out for that. But what was your opinion about their new album, KG?
Oh, it's in my top 5.
Really?
Possibly my favorite album of theirs. Yeah. I think I liked it more than most people did. But I just thought it was incredible just how they went all over the place, like even more than they typically do. I mean, they did a lot of experimentation with different sounds while also staying within the microtonal realm. And it was just cool to see, like, I mean, stuff like Ontology, which, that was sort of a different sound, but also had, a few touches of like their classic Giz sound, and then also like obviously with Intrasport putting a
Oh
dance
yeah,
track on there.
that's
Fuck
a
yeah.
good
Um,
that's a good bop.
it's great. And then also just wrapping it up with the Hungry Wolf of Fate is just like, all right, let's see what else is going on here. I'm really excited for the next record, whether
I'm
that's AT or LW.
I think it will be LW because in their recent marketing campaign for their name, it's always been KGLW. So it
Yeah.
makes sense to like shorten it to just KGLW for purposes. And I don't know if it'll be called LW, but if it is, that would be pretty dope.
Yeah.
Um, I
I
really
think Ambrose gave like a soft confirmation that it's LW.
that would be pretty dope.
Yeah.
If you saw the new quote unquote bootleg T-shirt that King Gizzard did, where it has like all their album covers on the back,
Mm-hmm.
the names of them. The last one is KGLW, so that's like the biggest, like green flag hint of all. That'll obviously be, LW.
Yeah.
But I think my favorite song off that album, and I'll preface, it's not my favorite. It's a good one. It's just not within my top 5. It's definitely a good one though. All of those really are though. But I really like Automation as like the intro, the first full song on that album.
Oh yeah.
I really like the DIY, do-it-yourself aspect that the band has given their fans with, here are the files for the music video, do whatever you want with it. And I'm just blown away with the constant, support that the band gives to its fan base in terms of, here are these files, make music videos, here are the master files for the audio, make records. And it's just amazing how they put out like 10 projects this year outside of their main KG album. And they're just giving away like all these master files. Like, hey, so if you liked all of these live albums that we did, if you like Teenage Gizzard, do whatever you want with them. Just at least give us a few of the records that you put out for us to sell ourselves for a profit. And that's absolutely fair in my opinion. And it's just, when I tell people that, it's like when they're actually listening to what I'm saying and not just rambling to myself about the band, they're always blown away by the, just the outpouring of support that the band gives to the fan base in ways that is really unheard of with most bands that I've ever, heard of or been in contact with.
Yeah. I mean, it's like I keep harping on this just like throughout this podcast. But like they have such a like a really tight what do you call it, like
Following?
yeah, they're based. I'm not even getting at the cult following part of it, but they have a really similar business model. I don't know why I was trying to say it's something else. They have a really similar business model as the Grateful Dead,
Absolutely.
in terms of like just constantly innovating and just giving. Like, first of all, having a newsletter that they send out to the fans, every month or so, and then doing all these things that are super interactive and experimental. And ultimately it's cool to see them, be like, hey, we're not like attached to the ownership of our music, completely. Like, we want to see what you guys do with it too. And there were some really interesting videos with Automation, beyond just the assets that they supplied. Like, I mean, of course, there was that one with the robot and like the fire and everything. It was just like, I mean, that one was just sick. And I forget the name of the guy who did that, but then there was also another one. Somebody remixed the audio of Automation, or like I heard a few different audio remixes of it, and that was cool as well. So, yeah, I mean, it's just cool how King Gizzard, they're just like not too territorial about their stuff. There's like, we're making our money. Don't worry about us. You guys just get to have some fun now, and make this still interesting for us.
Honestly, that does make me feel good about that. The band is making their money. They're doing good financially, and the fact that they're so comfortable that just like it feels like the ultimate finger to the record label industry.
Oh yeah,
that they started off as their own thing, and I almost guarantee you that as they were as a starting band, no label would have signed them on under the name that they had King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard without saying, okay, well, you have to cut your second drummer, you have to cut this extra guitars, you got to change your name, and just changing their image to what they wouldn't be able to be. And the fact that they started their own record company, released 5 albums in 1 year, something that no record label would have ever let them do on their own. And ultimately evolved to the point that they're able to put out 10 projects in a year and say, hey, fan base, we love you so much. Go wild, do what you want. Again, I feel is the ultimate middle finger to the record label establishment. Now, I don't have a big beef with the record label companies, but they've done some shady practices in the past.
Oh, yeah. I'm
anti, artist practices where they get, jack all of anything that they've made artistically. And, I really admire the band for this kind of move beyond just their artistic integrity, their music, their artwork, and just how humble and just how cool of people they are, really.
Yeah. I mean, it's also cool because, like, obviously the record industry has its history and everything. Like, everybody knows what it is. But I remember a couple of years ago, Eric Moore on Instagram just he took a picture of a Grammy invite that they received.
I remember
with his middle finger up to it. It was great. And also, like, I think King Gizzard also knew, just way before, like, what am I trying to say here? No, just about the record industry. I totally forgot where I was going with that. There was some point I was going to make, and it was going to be great, but
trust me, we'll talk about something else, and then it'll come back to you. That's how that shit always happens. You're good, bro.
Yeah.
But I do remember that one image on Instagram where Eric gave the finger to the Grammy invite. While I find that super cool, another part of me just a little bit kind of wishes they did show up, and even if they did actually give a performance, I doubt they would have. They just probably would have been, just seated there and not did anything. I think it would have been cool to see them just blow the socks off of whoever was present, just like, who the hell are these people? What the hell are they? And just, I don't know, play like the Mind Fuzz suite or anything like that. Just like, wow, I don't know. It would have been fun. It would have been cool, but I like the direction that they took too. Their integrity and all.
Yeah, I mean, it just seemed like honestly, the Grammys just seemed like a big waste of time.
It is. It's so bloated. It's such bullshit. You got a band like
that's what it was.
You got a band like Greta Van Fleet. Like, don't get me wrong, I really like their EP. It was really good, but I never listened to their new first full length album, Anthem of a Peaceful Army. Honest to God, that sounds pretty weak of a first album title to me. And all the fact that it got a 0 off of Pitchfork and they still won a Grammy for it. That to me, they just like, they got the record deal, signed their souls off to the devil or whatever the hell. And, they're just getting buttloads of cash for it. They even have a songbook. They only have one album and one EP worth of a songbook. And yet King Gizzard has like 16 albums and not nary an official songbook or unofficial one anywhere to be purchased in Guitar Center or online. And honestly, that's a big stickler for me. Anytime I want to ask them any kind of question on official format, it would be like, official King Gizzard songbook when, please.
Yeah, you mean for like playing on guitar?
Yeah, like tabs and everything for their major songs or any song that would be good on acoustic or whatnot. I think that would be really cool for the band to share.
Yeah, because like I know there are there's a PDF out there that's on I forget which website it's on. I have a link to it. I could send it to you, but it's for paper mache dream balloon. So it has all the tabs and
it was their like a zine or something like that. It had like the tablature a little thick. I actually have it with my copy of paper mache.
Oh, nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was able to teach myself sense from that, but
nice.
I like, because I play King Gizzard songs on the guitar, but I most of them I'm either teaching myself like along with like a live performance, usually like a KEXP thing. I'll just see where their fingers are moving, and then just sort of pick it up by ear after that.
So you've been picking it up by ear. Yeah, you've been playing guitar significantly longer than I have.
I've been playing since 1998.
So I started playing guitar when I was like 13, 14, I got demotivated. I suffered greatly from like ADHD and such, and I wasn't able to focus and get, the instant gratification I wanted out of it. So I dropped it, unfortunately. And, within the last couple of years, I picked up the hobby again, acoustic, and then later the electric, and I'm having so much fun with it. And I'm just like, shit, why didn't I stick with this? I wish I did. But, everyone makes mistakes.
Yeah. I mean, I wish that I because like up until a year ago, I was just, I basically just knew how to play guitar for most of my life. Like I wasn't doing anything with it. But I do kind of wish that, like, I mean, honestly, every day, like in the shower, I just have all these thoughts of like, what if I had actually focused on music all throughout, middle school and high school instead of like trying to be a baseball player and just like losing all my music friends. But yeah, you live and you learn. Honestly, like I wouldn't change anything. Like what I got going on right now is pretty sick.
Yeah.
But I did remember what it was that I had forgotten.
There you go.
And I just forgot it again. But
oh, you sure you didn't like smoke anything before this program?
Oh no, I've been stoned for most of the day, but but not for a few hours. I'm just I don't know. Maybe this is just like a cosmic sign. Like, hey, you don't need to harp on the record industry. There's some. I was just going to talk some shit about them some more, but forget. Oh, here it is. Yes, here I finally got it. So I feel like in the last year with a pandemic and everything, the cover's kind of been blown off of everything that was contrived, and everything that people sort of thought was probably bullshit turned out to definitely be bullshit. And I feel like King Gizzard was just onto that as far as the Grammys were concerned, like way, and record companies and everything, like way beyond. Like I think just in general, what we're going to see in as far as the future of entertainment and the economy around it is just a massive like gouging out, like just cutting out of middlemen, like
pulling out the curtain and showing like the people behind the scenes or whatever. Who knows?
Yeah, I feel like there's just going to be a lot more DIY stuff, and it's going to be I'm honestly really optimistic for like the post-COVID
no, absolutely
economy.
I honestly believe that King Gizzard should be considered the poster child when it comes to do it yourself, being a band, creating your own label, because before the internet, to do what King Gizzard did is pretty much impossible for most people. I mean, you have like exceptions like the Grateful Dead. I don't know much about Grateful Dead.
But you wouldn't be able to release like the the demos or like the live records, unless they were just to put them onto cassette tapes or something.
Exactly. That's so
just
hard
mail them out.
Like spread about and everything like that. But with the advent of the internet, at this point in 2021, you have no excuse. If you want to have a band, if you want to start your own label, if you want to do any of those things, you don't have to go through a record label unless you want to take the easy route and to have all of it done for you. And have a good chunk of your profit taken from you by some corporate suit.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel King Gizzard is the perfect example of you can do it yourself, and if you work hard enough at it, if you have a good social media presence and you're pretty smart at that, and if you're putting something out there that's both compelling and and captures the imagination of an audience that will be loyal to you, you can do fucking anything, really. And I don't know if it's okay to swear on this program, but
fuck yeah, man.
Hey, fucking hell, there we go. Okay, but that's my view on it. Again, you have no excuse to not use the internet to your full advantage, to do it yourself in the realm of music, art, whatever.
100%. Yeah. I mean, and what's wild is like I was I majored in journalism and had a minor in communications, in mass communication studies, and so much. And I graduated in 2012, so that was like just like social media was just on the cusp of reaching the boom that is just, in now.
Yeah.
And there was so like it's such a wild time to be a student of just like researching like or just studying what the real power of the internet is. And we like made all these hypotheses and everything about like what would happen, with the internet. And we didn't quite think it would turn out as it has. But
Did it meet your expectations? Did it blow away your expectations, or did it turn away that you didn't expect?
I was just I think we were all very naive as to as far as the internet being used for good, and not just being a fucking cesspool.
Yeah,
But
that would be most social media platforms these days.
yeah.
Yeah.
However, it's all about the intention that you use social media with, and so obviously for like King Gizzard, it's required, and for all these things about bringing people together, like you need social media,
Mhm.
to make the whole thing work, because that's the technology we're all on. But uh, so I wanted to ask, because you correct me if I'm wrong, but you did have you do have tickets for the marathon show in Berkeley, right?
Yes, I have 2 tickets for the marathon show in Berkeley, California. I believe it was. It was at the Greek Theater.
Yeah.
I originally thought that Greek Theater show would be back in LA, where I saw them in 2019. So I thought I was buying tickets at the same venue, but no, it's in Northern California.
Yeah.
And then I bought 2 sets of 4 tickets. No, 4 tickets for 2 nights, 2 tickets each for both nights, for the Red Rocks Amphitheater show.
Oh fuck yeah! You're going to Red Rocks.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I'll see you there, man. Yeah.
Oh, boy. So I bought those tickets to all 3 of those shows, and it was quite a pretty penny, but it just more than worth it for me. It's just like, fuck it, I'm going. I have to. No one's going to stop me. I don't care if I'm working. They say no, you can't go. Fuck you, I quit. Basically.
Yeah. You know what? It was. I think tickets for that went on sale like a year ago. Isn't that
Mhm.
insane?
It was
Like,
2019, like November.
yeah.
That thing went on
No, more
sale.
than more than a year ago.
Yeah, I know. I didn't expect them to like be me sitting on them this long, but hey, I'm kind of glad I held on to them. But I remember it was going to be in March. Those shows were, and then they got pushed to October because COVID, and then they got pushed to October of 2021. So I'm like, hey, you know what? As long as the show still goes on, then I'll be there. I'll be there. No.
Yeah.
But I've never been to the Red Rocks Amphitheater, and I am just beyond stoked to eventually, come to a gathering of like-minded Gizheads or Gizzoids, as King Gizzard has started calling their fans on like their official newsletters and such. And I'm not too hot on that name. I've always been fond of Gizheads myself, but that's more of a derivative of Deadheads, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, and also like Gizzoids is sort of given they're kind of advancing the narrative that we're going, that we're merging with AI, and which I appreciate that, as far as continuity goes. um, but yeah, I Gizhead's better. It's just a better term. I like my humanity personally.
Better. I've used it a lot longer, and I don't know. I don't know. This is just my opinion. Don't hate me if someone doesn't like it, but I just think Gizzoids comes off a little bit more immature, maybe. I don't know. But Gizheads already just sounds really just like wacky out there, but who cares? This band's awesome.
I agree. Gizhead sounds way more mature. But
talking about this band to anyone outside of the know it's just like speaking in like almost a different tongue to most people.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally like speaking in tongues at non-Pentecostals.
I just specifically remember like a thread on Reddit where people would post like a paragraph or two of like the most common tropes that people would have when they're explaining the band other people, and it's just like, oh my god, that's so me. Oh my god, I'm guilty. I said the exact same thing, and it was hilarious. It's just like, I've totally said that to people. It's quite funny. It's like, hey, did you know this band released 5 albums in 1 year? Or just like, well, to explain the band, they've done this genre, this genre, this genre. They got 2 drummers. Did you know one of them is the manager? It's funny how ironic it is, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, it's annoying how like all of these, talking points to people that we all have and that we've all used. I'm guilty of every single one of those.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny how those talking points, sorry, I know I'm getting the hiccups and they're throwing me off.
No, you're good, dude.
Okay. Whoo. Now, shout out one time to Safeway brand seltzer, Soleil, black cherry. It's actually pretty delicious. So I'm addicted. Anyway, fuck, what was I saying?
About common tropes that Gizheads have with explaining
Yes.
the band to other people who
Yeah.
like another language.
The problem is that there's no way to explain them in a way that
You
will
can't explain
impress
it in one
somebody
sentence.
that makes it sound like you're not trying way too hard. And I mean, because like there's so many really fascinating things about the band. I mean, seriously, there are so many fascinating things about the band that I'm able to have this be, like the 50th episode of this podcast. Like this is, or wherever we're at, when this comes out, like, and the fact that I'm not going to be stopping anytime soon, like there's so much to talk about with this band, just with so many different people that,
Honestly, if you don't mind me interjecting, I think the
please.
biggest issue with people, like in the beginning, is, and I think this is the greatest barrier of entry with most of the uninitiated, is the name of the band itself. Honestly, like
Yeah.
it's a great band name. It's something that's going to stick with people. It's something that's going to stick within the annuals of like music history. That's just going to stand out with most people. But when you're face to face with someone that I don't know, listens to nothing but the top 100, it's like such a huge wall, a barrier of entry for most people that they just glaze over,
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a bad thing. It just means that anyone who actually takes an interest in this band means that they think outside the box to begin with, I would assume.
Well, those people are usually too busy imagining dragons. So,
or listening to Cardi B or something like that.
yeah. Imagine Dragons. I got to say, I was excited for them with their first record. I thought Radioactive was a good song, and
I was just thinking of that. Yeah, that's
I thought Demons was good. They had a lot of potential, I thought, and then like potential to be a great rock band that's still that happens to be top 40. And then they just went full pop route.
So full sellout so fast.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just like, where's okay? This is the direction you're going. Fine,
no integrity. They just follow the money. And I think again, King Gizzard is a perfect example of sticking to your guns, keeping your integrity, and putting enough effort into it. You get rewarded for it. And I don't know what their finances are, but they're definitely comfortable, I would say. And they're very well been rewarded handsomely for sticking to their guns, I would say. And on the topic of bands like, Imagine Dragons, who like showed promise in the beginning and then totally sold out. And this is like my second time mentioning them. I'm not like obsessed with them, but they're just a good point. Is like Greta Van Fleet. They get a lot of not hate, but they get bashed a little bit for almost being a derivative of Led Zeppelin, and it's hard to separate the two these days. And I'm sure it's an ad nauseum thing at this point for the group. But they're talented. I can't deny it. They're very talented.
Oh yeah,
they do. But the choice from their first EP to the first album is either they stick to their guns with what they're sounding right now, to whatever they do in the future, either stick to the same thing or do something different. And I don't know. Again, they sold out to the record companies, and despite bombing, I guess, with their first album, they're still won a Grammy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Greta Van Vliet's gonna, you know,
Set the world on.
I don't know if set, like I really don't know enough about them to to say one way or the other. I just know that like if everybody thinks that you sound like Led Zeppelin, um, but they still like it anyway, then you're probably fine. Like, King Gizzard, they had Mind Fuzz, and that's kind of like their most Led Zeppelin y album, maybe.
That's
Maybe
the
not.
first time I've ever heard that comparison. I'm
I
honestly
mean, this is the
interested.
first time I've ever said it, and I don't even know if I actually believe it.
Mhm.
But I mean, because like before the, because generally the connection I make with like Led Zeppelin and King Gizzard is "God Is in the Rhythm" being a better song than Dire Maker.
Yeah, yeah.
You
Gods of
know,
the Rhythm is definitely my favorite song off of Quarters outside of The River. The River is The River. You know, that's going to be probably one of the most iconic songs ever, ever. But
mhm.
if you're not choosing The River as like the most, common answer for Quarters, God is in the Rhythm is my favorite song off that album.
Yeah, yeah, it's solid. Lonely Steel Sheet Flyer as well. I'm pretty
That's a good
partial
one
to.
too.
You know what I realized about Lonely Steel Sheet Flyer is that it's basically the inverse of The River. Like it's like it sounds like a riff that you could play just opposite to the main river riff. Um, but yeah, or I'm probably not explaining it that well, but this is just a thought that came to me when I was tripping last time, and I had Quarters on, and I was like, Lonely Steel Sheet Flyer is the river, but in the sky, and uh, yeah, it was a
That's
good time.
cool.
But yeah, but now like whenever I hear Lonely Steel Sheet Flyer, I can't unhear the river. Like it's just such a it feels like a very closely related.
The connection's been made for you, and it's hard to disassociate the two.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
What would you say out of their 15 albums before KG came out? What would you say is your top album? I mean, top five is,
Oof.
hard. There's so many good different albums that,
Yeah.
but what would you say is your top?
Oh man. I mean, Flying Microphone and Banana, I put up there. Polygon Dwana Land. And honestly, I think I put Float Along, Fill Your Lungs somewhere in there. In really no specific order, but that album just hits. And like, beyond the title track and Head on Pill, like just all the songs are great. Um,
Absolutely.
and I mean, yeah, you could put a oh shit. I mean, yeah, it's such a I really can't do rankings.
For me,
I tried to do a rankings episode once, and it was just like we finally agreed after like 45 minutes of ranking, this is a moot point.
they're all
We
great.
were just both totally blitzed, just stoned off our asses, and just like there is no point to ranking the albums. It was
They're
like almost a
all
wasted
great. That's the
episode.
scary part about them. They have no objectively bad album. Everyone has personal favorites.
Mhm.
Everyone has their top five, which is all wildly different, which is amazing. With most bands,
They have an album for every mood, you
that's
know?
yeah. You could go weeks just listening to King Gizzard, but it's just the scariest thing for me. Genuinely, kind of scary is just there's just objectively no bad album where everyone can point to and say, yeah, this is where the band went wrong. This is the sucky album. Ignore it. There's none of that. There's always
Yeah.
it's always either this is a great album or this is a fucking fantastic album. There and that's even debatable at that point, which is the great and fantastic, which is phenomenal for a band with 16 albums. That's honestly unheard of. I mean, what other
Yeah.
bands that's had that many albums in a decade even?
Oh, zero.
That's where they haven't put out at least one, subpar record. You can't name one.
Yeah.
You
No, I
know,
mean the Beatles had I think they had something like 16 albums in their 10-year run, but
yeah,
that was because of like, you know, having two different record labels. Or I guess ultimately three, but like before they started their own, they were on Capitol Records in the US and
Apple.
Parlophone in the UK. So they were releasing, still making the same songs, but then just being assembled into different records in both countries.
No, absolutely. So to get on the my original question, top favorite album, I would have to say personally, mine would have to be "I'm in Your Mind" Fuzz. That was the album that got me hooked into them. That was the, it got in my mind fuzz,
Well, yeah. So when was it that you first listened to King Is?
2016. I remember being in
Fuck
my,
yeah.
this was back in when I was back in Kansas City still, before I moved. But I was in my best friend's garage, and we were smoking some good grass, and we were just swapping music videos on each other's phones, just like having a good time, just sharing. And he showed me the music video for Nonagon Infinity Robot Stop.
Yeah.
Now, this was my first exposure to the band, and I'll admit, it didn't immediately capture my attention. And that's the same thing with other people who have been exposed to the band. It's just like they got showed something, didn't immediately capture their attention. Then later down the line, they found something themselves and it just clicked for them. And that was the case for me. I later looked into them further because the name was so fucking cool. I was just like, there's got to be something here. They have how many albums? And then I listened to "I'm in Your Mind" Fuzz, and that was just it for me. That was like finding the sound, finding the band that I never knew that I was subconsciously like looking for to identify with. And I've never regretted that decision. And what's my favorite thing about "I'm in Your Mind" Fuzz is it really seemed to be when the band came into their own creatively and artistically. I'm stealing a line from American Psycho right there.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, all right. Where's the axe? Where's the raincoat?
But yeah, it's just like the earlier records beforehand, the what was it, 4 beforehand, they were really like experimenting, discovering their sound. And it was with "I'm in Your Mind" Fuzz where they really solidify their image, their their soundscape, and everything that basically influenced everything that came afterwards in terms of like the bass sound and like the concept and everything. And that's where the Gizverse really started, if we're going down that rabbit hole within the fan base. Also the artwork is just my personal favorite. It's so goddamn cool.
I mean, it's cool. It's hard for me to pick out a favorite Goliath album cover.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Mind Fuzz is definitely up there. I mean, Nonagon I think might still be my favorite cover. Sketches is really solid.
Paper Mache Dream Balloon is also really nice too.
Yeah, actually, that one I have a soft spot for claymation. Yeah, it's claymation I feel is very underutilized.
It's definitely become very ignored in recent years with the advent of easy to use CGI and such, which is cool. But I definitely believe the artistic merit of claymation or other forms of like practical effect animation should still exist. It still has a place.
Yeah, I mean, shout out one time to Spaghetti Jesus. He's still a great claymation guy and other visuals, dude. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but he did a music video for Pipe Eye last year or 2 years ago.
If I'm
Fluorescent Wonder,
Cookie Dogs band, right?
Yeah, or just his solo project. It's just him and he has Cavs do the drums. But yeah, so anyway, claymation 6. So keep it up, Josh. But yeah, I wanted to so when did you see King Giz for the first time live?
The first time ever was at the it was at the Hollywood Palladium in 2018, May 31st. I specifically remember that date. Also, I swear to God, Tommy Wiseau was hanging out across the street wearing a full Heath Ledger Joker outfit. I noticed it, and I was just like, is that the Joker? And it was just like, dude, that's fucking Tommy Wiseau. Yeah, he's been doing YouTube videos about wanting to play as the Joker, and I'm like, what the fuck? He was just sitting there chilling in like a whole goddamn Joker outfit. Wasn't talking to us, wasn't interacting with us. He was just sitting there on the other side, just like chilling, like minding his own business, looking kind of depressed.
Oh my God.
But if that was cool, that was cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. Can you imagine if Tommy Wiseau was a Giz head? Just be like, rattlesnake.
Rattlesnake,
Yeah.
rattlesnake, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh,
Oh, hi, Cookie Dog.
what a crew
Um,
call. Oh God. But no, that was the first time I ever saw them live. It was phenomenal. It was amazing. And actually, I have a piece of art that I had signed by them that hanging on my wall. I could show you if you want.
yeah. Let's see that shit. Yeah, get that thing. I'll just keep talking so it so people have something to watch while you're taking that thing off the wall. Okay. Here he comes back with the autographed piece.
All right. To preface, this guy in the UK created a small little art piece, that was a conglomeration of all of their album artwork at the time of 2018, and he only printed like 40 of these. There was like maybe like $45 or so, and I got it, and I was just like, this would be perfect for the band to sign. So I took it with me, and I was like super careful to not get like bent or anything, and after the show, I was able to get everyone, including Jason, to sign this. So all 8 signatures.
Fuck yeah. That is so cool.
Yeah. This is probably probably one of my favorite things I've owned ever. So that's pretty fucking dope.
Yeah, and that's impressive that you got all of them to sign it that one night.
I got lucky. Even Jason. I mean, that's a rare signature right there, I would say, probably.
Yeah, well, not everybody knows what he looks like.
I know. So I was just talking to some other dude. I was just like, hey, is that Jason? It was just like, I don't know, call him out. It was just like, hey, Jason. And he just like turned. And it was just like, hey, dude, I love you. I love your work so much. Could you please sign? He just lightened up. It's like, oh, okay, thanks. Thanks, dude. So it was super cool to meet them all.
Yeah, that's awesome. I've only gotten to meet Lucas and Cookie, and they're cool. Lucas is pretty calm, but
Lucas is a really chill dude. Honestly, they're all really chill.
Yeah, they're all awesome. I was on mushrooms too, so like, but Cookie was awesome because I told him just like because like my girlfriend at the time was taking our picture, and her mushrooms had really kicked in, and so she was having a hard time operating the camera and really knowing what it was that she was actually supposed to do, and so I was just like, please bear with us, her mushrooms just kicked in, and Cookie goes, oh fuck yeah.
Oh man, that's so cool.
Yeah, it was the best.
It's I don't remember too much of the conversations I had with them. I remember bits and pieces, but I just remember just how warm and just like how welcoming they are to speak to the fans. And I was able to take a picture with Stu. That was fucking
that's sick.
And then I saw them again the very next night at in San Diego at what was it? It was like the observatory. It was called which
okay.
Have an observatory, but it was a stage or whatnot. That was a very, very different show and a very rowdy show. Stu had to stop the show 4 fucking times.
What?
I'm not even shitting with you. Like, I'm sure there's other fans out there that have been to that show that can attest to my what I'm saying right now. Okay, so he stopped the show once because just suddenly, just out of the blue, just music stopped. He jumped off stage. And he was running to a security guard who was apparently trying to throw a fan out for some reason. I don't know what it was, but later when I spoke to him after the show, I spoke to him twice in like 2 nights. He was like, yeah, so he was trying to throw a fan out. He didn't do anything. So I was just like, hey, let him go. He didn't do anything. Let him stay. I'm like, damn, that's fucking cool.
Yeah.
Then I don't remember what one of the other situation was, but there was this one other time that some dude jumped on this, somehow got past the line of security and got past the 6-foot gap between the stage and the crowd with the barriers. And he somehow got on stage and then he just turned around and just leapt the 6-foot gap, into the crowd. And Stu just stopped the music immediately and just like, hey, look at me. Like, come here. Like he was doing hand motions like this, come here, look at me. And the guy finally turned, I guess, because he started saying, just like, I don't care if you come on my stage. I don't care if you stage dive or whatever, but what you just did was really fucking dumb. You jumped a 6-foot gap and you could have really hurt yourself and other people. That is really stupid, And I was just like, holy fucking shit, this guy's awesome. You know, I didn't know he would do stuff like that, or he cared that much about the safety of his fans or anything like that to stop a show that much. I honestly don't remember the other two instances, but they did happen. I swear to God.
That's wild. I can't imagine. I mean, because like that would just throw off the flow so much. I would imagine, and it was still a good show.
It was great. It was great. Besides stopping 4 times, I still had a great fucking time. But, you know, I could definitely tell the band was definitely a little more apprehensive to meet the crowd than they were the previous night. You know, some of them didn't go out. You know, Stu and Ambrose and Eric were out. And this was during the day. And I spoke to Eric about like, hey, you going to release a live album or anything like that? Just like, yeah, we're working on it.
Mm-hmm.
But I just remember having Ambrose signed the back of my jacket, and he was just just like nervous and apprehensive for a little bit. I could feel it in the way he was talking. I guess it was just so rowdy of a crowd that even he was a little bit spooked, you know, which is unfortunate. But I guess they still talk to their fans after shows, which is nice.
Yeah, I still haven't been able to, you know, I've never had the opportunity to, you know, just time constraints to actually hang out after a show, because like usually I have to go, you know, take either a long drive back, you know, to Joshua Tree from LA, or you know, when I saw him in Seattle, had to take a ferry back to the island where my parents live, and and like you missed the last boat, and then you got to wait till 5 a.m. So forget that.
Enjoy sleeping in the car in that case.
No car, had to walk across.
Oh boy.
So
oh boy.
Yeah, but in any case, you know, so as far as the next album's concerned, we've heard the first track. Have you listened to the first track?
I have. It's just
Not Now Then When.
So out of context with like whatever else is coming out. It sounds nice. It's just I need to hear more of what's available for me to get a better picture of like the full package. Like either like the next 2 or 3 next 2 songs or so, just like, oh, okay, this is what they're going for.
Yeah,
I like that.
So with KG, how much time did you spend, would you say, like listening to the singles that they released for that album?
I definitely listened to Honey, Some of Us, and
Straws in the Wind.
Straws in the Wind and Automation a lot. You know, and then the rest of the album dropped, and I enjoyed it. But I was after everything else I've heard about the band, I was just somewhat underwhelmed. It wasn't a bad album by any stretch of the imagination. I was just like, this is good. This is good.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of people were hoping that they would return to, you know, like the sound or a sound pre-Rat's Nest, you know, just to get back to like the whole, you know, continuity of the Gizverse and everything, which, you know, they succeeded in doing with Automation and, you know, other they've introduced the Hungry Wolf of Fate.
Such a loose association of songs and themes that it's very hard to, you know, make any sort of solid connections that aren't just glaringly obvious, that aren't like callbacks to previous works.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And like, I kind of view it as possibly an evolution of the band, you know, like they might be evolving out of this, you know, from out of that one universe, that one Gizverse, and it might just be expanding into something else, or there might just be a series of Gizverses, parallels.
It's just this band's been around for about a decade now. You know, that decade chunk of time is, you know, that's their first era, if you want to consider it, or if you want to consider by album releases and the chunks of them, different eras within their own. You know, I'm excited to see where this band goes for the next decade, and I really hope they stick around for a long time without them becoming derivative or just played out, or just, you know, going a lot longer than they should have. There's been plenty of bands that, you know, while we're happy none of them died, we're happy none of them are like, you know, bad blood between them that broke up the band. It's just like, you know, you guys, you know, yeah, you guys were great, but you should have stopped making albums a long time ago. You get what I mean? It's like not in a negative way, but like there's a lot of like 80s rock bands that, you know, it's just, they're still releasing music to this day. And while they're nowhere near as great as they were, you know, back in their prime, back in the 80s or such, as an example, you know what I mean? You know,
yeah, like but I mean, I think that still sounds pretty negative.
Oh, I'm being
mean,
weird with
because
that.
here's the thing, like sure, they're not going to have like the same teeth as they did, like when they're in their 20s and stuff.
Mhm.
Like I sort of look at as far as that's concerned, I sort of look at a band like System of a Down, where they started, like the first three albums that they came out with were like fucking hard, and even their final two albums were hard as well, but they were they mellowed out a lot, and there was just a different mood, a different vibe. Like they sort of pulled back a little bit on the on the aggressive sound and stuff, and on like the metal part of it. But yeah, but then also, like a band that you introduced me to, Hawkwind. They came out with that acoustic album a couple years ago.
Mhm.
That was great.
The Hawkwind is actually a good example for me to bring up with what I was mentioning moments earlier. I didn't mean it to come off as negative, if that's what it was interpreted as. I guess I
Well,
didn't
you're just
word
like,
it right.
not to be negative, but you guys need to stop making music.
Ah, it's I didn't mean it like that. It's like with Hawkwind. It's just like their first, collection of albums in like the early 70s throughout the early mid 80s are fantastic. It's just some bands just after a while run out of creative steam and they're just keep putting out records because it's making them money despite not having the popularity that they once had. And it's just, you know what I mean? It's just it's like if King Gizzard, just stopped making music, 2021, they broke up as a band,
Yeah.
do their own thing, they would have already left a lasting legacy with what they've already released without any sort of like tarnishment of like a bad, so mild or album that everyone would passively ignore or something like that. You have bands like maybe Hawkwind as an example, or I don't know, like Def Leppard or any other sort of 80s bands. Everyone knows their classics. Everyone loves what those classics are. And if they come to town, people want to see them. But people want to see them because of their like old classics. No one, for the most part, wants to hear what they've put out in like the 2000s, or like the 2010s, if they even released anything. They don't get any airplay. A very small percentage of people have listened to them compared to the mass majority of people that have heard like their radio hits from like decades prior. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
You get what I mean? That's basically what I'm meaning or implying.
Yeah.
I,
I'm just giving the artists a little more benefit of the doubt that they're putting out new music because they want to make it, not just because
Financially
finances.
viable at work. Yeah. Okay, I get that.
Yeah.
Um, but you did listen to Hawkwind. I recommended them to you a while ago.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah. Yeah. Back
curious
in
about them.
Oh, yeah, dude, I took acid back in May, and decided, like, yeah, let's get into Stu McKenzie's Nonagon Mind. And yeah, so I put on Space Ritual and just took off. It was great. And then when I came to, and in the following weeks I continued to listen to them. Yeah, I mean, they're fantastic. I mean, it's what's so fucking cool about Hawkwind is just you can tell it's Lemmy on the bass. And
He plays that bass like a rhythm guitar, man. It's so cool.
yeah, I mean, he plays that bass like that's the rocket fuel that's getting them. Oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Hold on. Say something again so the camera is on you and people can see your shirt.
Hawkwind. There you go.
All right. We got it. But yeah, no, great fucking shirt. That's an impressive find. Where did you get it?
It's not an oldie one. It's something I got off of a merch bar. They still got stuff for sale on there, and it's
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
But I do have like a nice collection of like band T-shirts and stuff. I have such a big collection of King Gizzard T-shirts now that it's a bit much. It's like, okay, I need to stop buying the cool T-shirts from King Gizzard, but they keep putting out cool T-shirts.
I know. I've been telling myself for the longest time I need to just stop buying, because like for the longest time I didn't buy merch as a rule because of this problem. And then I was like, I'll get a shirt, and now I've got two Giz shirts. And I think I'm just gonna leave it at that. Also got a Tropical Fuckstorm shirt. I'm just talking about recent purchases I made like this past quarter.
Huh.
And then like I thought I was all good on sweatshirts, but then I got this one. It's Fake Business
Oh, cool.
from Tim Dillon, comedian. It's a great bit he did. Anyway, I'll send you a YouTube link later. It's
I'd like to see
fantastic.
that.
Yeah.
I could use a good laugh.
Yeah. Anybody watching this, check out Tim Dillon's Fake Business on YouTube. It's like a 13-minute clip, but it's the funniest thing that's ever happened in podcast history. And fuck, merch. Right. Bands that you would recommend it to me. You also recommended Takeshi Terauchi.
Yes.
Who I picked up an album of his, and holy
Was
fuck,
it a compilation?
Yeah. It was his Nippon Guitars, the blue label. I think there was a red one and a blue one, and I got the blue from Zia Records in Arizona. Yeah, I mean, dude, you've got some good finds. What are some other I guess lesser known artists that you would recommend as much as Hawkwind and Terauchi?
Oh, okay. Right at the top of my head, I'm thinking of High Rise. That was a late 80s underground Japanese like psych punk noise band. Their High Rise 2 was their EP, and it was like the only thing they ever really put out on vinyl, but it is absolutely mind-bendingly like, what the fuck? It's, and the last song on side 2, Popsicle, is a lot like Head on Pill in terms of just like it keeps going and going and going and building and building and building, except a lot more simplified with like a 3-piece punk band, and just the guy on the electric guitar is just going absolutely fucking ape shit for like 16 minutes straight, and it's just mind melting with just how much noise, psychedelia, and just punk just thrown in there. And this is in the like the late 80s. So and a lot of people.
And this is Japanese. This is a Japanese band.
Yeah.
I mean, because like I learned recently that Kikagaku Moyo had to leave Japan because nobody was digging their sound. So like they, that's why they're based in Amsterdam.
Really? They're based in Amsterdam?
Yeah.
Wow,
they moved.
I had no idea. That's an interesting choice.
Yeah. Well, there's a great scene there apparently, and now they've also got their own record label there.
Dope. I did see Kikagaku Moyo at Desert Days in 2018, which was the same day I saw King Gizzard. I was only there for day 2, but it was definitely a treat to see Kikagaku Moyo also on this second night. And the reception from the crowd was just incredible. They were just getting all the right reactions. People were just like jumping up and down to the rhythm. People weren't moshing, but they were definitely like bouncing against each other in like a mosh fashion without it being too hardcore or too aggressive. And everyone was just screaming for an encore, and they were just so flattered and overwhelmed by the reception. It was definitely my top show at Desert Days besides King Gizzard at the end of the night.
Oh yeah, I mean Kikagaku, I've seen them 5 times live, and they are just such a tight band. Like the first time I saw them, I've been telling a lot of psychedelic stories, but here's another one. I was on a full dose of acid, and like the whole, and like I was right up against the stage in the front row, and I'm just like making eye contact, like holding eye contact with the drummer of Kikagaku Moyo.
Was he getting like awkward, or was he just like totally into it too?
Oh no, it was like he was initiating it with different members of the crowd, and just seeing how long he could just eye fuck you, and and it was so intense because like I'm just like what, and then he's like getting like a little bit faster and just like doing shit with his head to like throw me off, and like oh my god, it was so intense. But then he's doing all of that like in conjunction with the rhythm changes and the tempo and all that. And the whole time I'm thinking like the education system in Japan is so next level. Like look how fucking intense they are. They're so focused, and like they're making a good product for the sake of good craftsmanship. Like they fucking care. So this is
Japan
all
is
shit that's
the
coming to me on acid, but I still kind of believe it.
Japan is the only developed first world country in the world that has laws against adding more hours to their workforce, and have actually put in laws to reduce hours for their workforce, because they're already so overworked as a people that, kind of a dark turn, but the suicide rates are so bad there because just how fucking overworked they are, and just their effort that they put into their
Yeah.
work, which I respect, but at the same time I would never be able to match their work ethic at that regard.
Oh, it's wild. I mean, it's definitely a cultural thing. Just with, I mean, similar to like how there's that American work ethic that you can still find from time to time here, but I mean in Japan, like they take it so seriously, because there's a lot of there's a lot that's just tied into honoring yourself and also your family and everything, and that's not just a stereotype. Like that's a legitimate cultural thing that they're still. I'm happy to hear that they're working through it by reducing hours and stuff,
Mhm.
actually taking government taking proactive
Yeah,
measures.
it's
But
like please take time off.
yeah,
Name another country that tells their workforce to do that. Honestly, no, but
the U.S., the United States, don't go to work, and we aren't going to give you any money either. So,
oh boy, what a can of worms that is.
oh boy,
Anyway, so you were asking for other music, like
yes.
so one thing. Do you know Bandcamp at all? Like, do
Oh,
you use Bandcamp as a music app?
yeah. I mean, for like when King Gizzard releases
Yeah, for
live in
discovering new
Nashville, and
music and such. It's honestly a fantastic way of discovering new upcoming or interesting artists that otherwise you'd have a hard time digging through YouTube for, or finding on Spotify or Apple Music or such, or don't necessarily appear on the top 100, but definitely deserve attention.
yeah.
Um, a Japanese band that I can name you right now. That's a three-piece band that does psychedelic space rock. That's just explosive in sound. Would be I'm probably going to butcher the name, and I'll spell it out to you for anyone who's interested, because again, I'll probably butcher it. Diala, which spelled DihdalaH, and the album is Threshold. Right here is the album cover. I actually have it on vinyl because I bought it from Discogs, but that is absolutely something worth looking up. It's only 4 songs, but they range from like 5 minutes, 9 minutes to 10 minutes.
Oh, I love that.
I know.
That,
So
that
it's definitely a fucking trip and a half, and definitely worth, like having fun too, if you know what I mean.
Oh, for sure, man. Yeah. Well, I think we're at the point now. We've been going for about an hour. Where we're gonna wrap up. But before I let you go, is there anything else Giz related that's been on your mind that we have not talked about yet?
One, I really want King Gizzard to explore more space rock type music. I guess they already delved into the genre with Infest the Rat's Nest, but that's more in terms of like story theme and such, and less, musical genre.
Yeah.
But if they could delve into more of the Hawkwind style of space rock, and give it their own Giz kind of spin to it, that would be fucking fantastic. I've already seen videos of Ambrose within their like Instagram videos, like playing with a saxophone.
Yeah.
So that's definitely something I think he's practicing and working on in the background, and that they think like, yeah, let's put a saxophone in our future projects, because he's already a instrumentalist on the side. So I think it'd be great if they add a sax to their song repertoire, which would be great. And
Oh yeah.
Quinn has a guy on the saxophone, like in the background doing noodling and shit. So when I saw that, I was just like, do that, but with space music, do it. So that would be cool. If they do that, I'd go bananas. Microtonal banana.
Yeah. Right. Dude, I would love that. Yeah.
Yeah. Besides that, I'm just super happy to know about this band, and I'm just super happy that the fan base for it is so passionate and just such a fun-loving group of people. And anytime I actually ever meet a person in public that knows this band. It's like finding a connection with someone on a different intellectual level. Not saying like intellectually, like I'm smarter than you, like we're haha, but just like we share a common theme and fandom for an interest that most people don't know what the fuck it's about, and we both get it, and it's just like, you know, like high five worthy sort of thing, you know?
Yeah, it makes you wonder, like, what must it be like when Scientologists go to a convention with each other?
Or flat earthers, you know?
Oh boy, yeah, just like, whoa, I didn't see over the horizon. Wonder why. All right, dude. Thank you so much for coming on the show, man.
Hey, happy to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Yeah, I'll let you know whenever I'm in KC. Get some barbecue.
Fantastic. I'll tell you, we could do some karaoke or some shit.
Fuck it, dude. I'm in. All right.
I'm totally down for that.
And if not, then Red Rocks. So, yeah, be seeing each other before too long.
All right, catch it, dude.
Yeah, take it easy,
Thanks for
man.
having me.
Thanks for listening.